A free ride for every hotel visitor. Just tell me where to go.
Is everything all right? If you don't feel up to it, I won't tell anyone.
It's just a goodbye, John. It won't be difficult. I've already come to terms with my mother's passing.
So you really don't remember?
To what do you refer?
The funeral. Sherlock, you were distraught. At first, I thought this visit would dredge up those feelings, but you've been remarkably level.
John, I think I was too young to understand. I couldn't fathom why she would leave me.
Perhaps that pain is best left forgotten.
On the contrary, it's why I'm visiting her grave. To remember her. Mycroft was adamant that we leave for London immediately after the funeral. He never told me why, but I saw how unsettled he was by the long requiem. The service was sparsely attended. Though my parents were buried separately, the pastor said they're united in heaven. I didn't believe him even then. I wanted to see her one last time before the coffin was interred and say how I loved her. The chance never came. I feel rather faint.
You're fine, you're fine. It's over now. You remembered everything. It will get easier soon.
A pocket watch? It seems familiar, John. Why is it here? This watch was a gift. My mother's initials are engraved on it. The piece is in good condition. It must have been placed here only recently. Rest in peace, Violet Holmes. Goodbye, Mother. A candle in a small puddle of wax. It cannot have been lit for more than half an hour.
Is this really how you want to spend this time?
This is my mother's pocket watch, John. Who put it here and why? Are you not in the slightest bit interested?
This is excessive, Sherlock. Can you not let the mystery be?
A man in fashionable shoes stood near the tomb. The size of the prints suggest he is approximately 5.5 feet tall.
You were about to tell me the make and model of tyre, but let me assure you, I do not care.
Well, it was going to be very impressive. Come on then, the trail continues ahead.
He mustn't be far away to leave it unattended.
A portable easel was kept there. The Hospitaller crypts. If memory serves, they're located at the far end of the cemetery around an old tree. I hope that inspiration strikes upon visiting these beautiful vaults. At the very least, you'll enjoy the view. Yours, Mercurio. It's stained with oil paint.
An artist working in a cemetery? Do you think he'd paint my portrait?
Oh,
Be nice, Sherry.
Mr.
Make
Holmes,
friends.
did you come for another portrait? No, I jest. You gave quite the performance last night. The hotel was abuzz with your name. I must say I was rather absorbed in it all. The fallibility of men. Such scandal.
it was a welcome distraction.
Oh, my manners. I am Werner Vogel, art enthusiast and gallery proprietor.
Mr. Vogel, I was perhaps too curt when last we spoke.
Speak no more of it. Travel takes it out of any man, never mind when this is your destination. Once I learned who you were, the pieces fell into place. Your mother was well liked on Cadona in her time here. I was sorry to hear of her passing.
How did you come to possess my mother's pocket watch?
Oh my! It is quite something to witness those powers of deduction firsthand. Yes, I left you her timepiece. After her death, there was an estate sale. All of Cordona's elite picking of her remains. I couldn't let such a lovely thing go to those vultures. When I learned your name, I could no longer keep the watch in good conscience. It is yours by right, and I knew you'd find it here.
Thank you. I'd forgotten all about it, but the moment I saw it, I knew it was hers. Amazing what the young mind forgets and the older can recall. Rather odd, loitering in a cemetery.
I suspect you'll win, but I'm here for my art. There's beauty everywhere if you look, even in decay. A little darkness brings out the light. Now, a diligent observer might note that you too are loitering in a cemetery. What brings you here? Closure answers penance?
Closure, I suppose.
And what is closure? Mere proximity?
Understanding. Acceptance.
You didn't understand from afar. You had to come here to accept the truth of her death?
Of course I understand. She died of consumption, drowning in her own blood.
Your mother?
Yes, my mother.
I must have been misinformed. I'd heard otherwise.
Otherwise than consumption?
No, you'd know better than I. I'd heard talk of a police investigation, but Cordona is a notorious gossip. And what does it matter? She's passed on either way.
She has.
Well, I shall intrude no longer. I'll leave you to your closure. Do stop by the gallery if your travels permit. Farewell.
Are you all right, Sherry? Take as long as you need.
Whatever I need, it isn't here. We should explore Cordona. Perhaps there are archives that may shed further light. May I ask you something?
The streets won't share their secrets with those who hide in fancy houses.
Is this familiar to you?
A solid question, sir, but I don't have the answer.
This isn't working. You might need a different tack.
Extra! Extra! Murder on the loose! A reward offered for any information as to Mr. Galici's whereabouts! The cheapest news on the island. Thank you.
Stark do this, Stark do that. I'm not a clerk, damn it. How am I supposed to get those records now? Yes? What is it? Would you like to report a crime?
No, I wouldn't. My name is Sherlock Holmes. I want to use the police archives.
Wouldn't we all?
I'm serious.
So am I. Officer Logan locked himself inside and he's not letting anyone in.
What happened exactly?
A tailoress from Scaladio's been robbed. Logan spent 2 whole days at the shop sketching the thief and she still insists that it's all wrong. That shrew drove him up the wall, she did.
Would you mind if I talk to this tailoress? I could get you the sketch in no time.
Get off your high horse, mister. You think you're better than our sketch artist?
Actually, I'm quite certain I am. Let me prove it.
Well, I see no harm in it, as long as it gets Logan out of there. In fact, I need to look up some records too. Here's the address. Good luck.
I'm pleased to meet you, ma'am. My name is Sherlock Holmes. I'm here to sketch the thief for the police investigation.
Oh, another one. I hope you'll be more patient than the previous sketches, signore.
I suggest we do it differently. You have a great many clothes here, haven't you?
Why, of course, but they're not for sale. I only do tailoring and mending.
No matter. I'll attempt to disguise myself as the thief, and you'll tell me if I get it right.
As you wish, Signor Holmes.
Can you describe the thief for me?
He was all ugly and beat-up looking. An utter rascal if ever I'd seen one. He gave me a nasty look from behind his glasses and then made himself scarce.
And that's it? Could you be more specific?
He was a total villain, I told you. How much more specific do you want me to be?
All right, never mind. Where can I find the clothes?
They're in my workshop at the back. Be careful, won't you?
John has wares if you have coin. Look at this old chap putting on airs like some Italian doge. Why don't you disguise yourself as him instead?
We have a job to do, John.
Oh, come on, at least do him first. What can I do for you, Sherlock?
Uncle Giovanni? Oh, Signore, you look exactly like my uncle. He's the grandson of the Doge of Venice, you know. I knew you reminded me of someone. You are as alike as two peas. Perhaps you have some royal blood in you too.
That is flattering, I suppose, but I sincerely doubt it, Mum.
I told you he's a doge. Now that's a deduction.
He's not an actual doge.
If you say so, my lord, the doge.
Your face is too innocent now.
What do you mean, too innocent?
There was something evil about his face. Like a moustache. Yes, the kind that all villains twirl as they plot their evil plans.
I'd say that not all villains wear moustaches, but I get your point, Mom.
No, those clothes are wrong. He was dressed in a very fancy beige suit. Must have stolen it from someone. No doubt about it.
All right, I've got it.
No, signore. That hat is wrong. I told you it was a regular bowler.
You didn't tell me it was a bowler.
But I did. You ought to pay more attention, signore. Ah, it's you. I mean, it's him. It's him.
Excellent. Now I can make a sketch and take it to the police.
Yes, please do. That rascal is still on the loose. I hope they are better at catching than sketching.
Before I go, Mum, are you quite certain that you don't have any clothes to sell?
Well, I suppose you can take the police uniform. An officer forgot it here years ago, and I don't have any use for it. If you want to buy clothes, visit the outfitters. You can find them all over Codorna. I hear they even do free rentals now. Let me show you where the nearest one is.
Thank you very much. Hello again, officer. I've spoken to the tailoress and made a sketch of the thief. It was child's play.
No, really? And she didn't give you any trouble?
No trouble at all. She was quite tolerable.
Huh. Who would have thought? Hey, Logan, we've got the sketch. Come on out.
Can I use the archives now?
Well, they're generally not accessible to the public, but you really helped us out, so I'll just turn a blind eye.
I appreciate it, officer.
What did you say your name was? Holmes? Come and see me after you're done. I may have a proposition for you, Mr. Holmes.
John, I just recalled that we were living here on Cordona in a manor. And there was a policeman.
Really? What else do you remember? What happened to our mother?
The memory was vague, a mere flash. I have to find our house.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
I'm done with the archives for now. Can I help you with anything else?
As a matter of fact, you can. The thing is, our chief inspector has vanished, as if we weren't undermanned enough as it is.
Wait, what do you mean, vanished?
Gone missing on a case. Shady business, but that's besides the point. See that board? Pending cases are posted there for any available officers to investigate. I would take them myself, except that I've been told to work the reception desk, like some clerk. Yes, we're that short-handed.
I understand your predicament, but what does any of it have to do with me? I may be available, but I'm certainly not an officer.
Oh, don't worry about it. Consider yourself a temporary one-man independent police force. That's a bit of a mouthful. There's just one small, minor basic formality. You'll need to complete our physical training course. Easy.
Well, I'm not one to balk at a spot of exercise. What must I do?
That's the spirit. Sergeant Ermy will show you the ropes. Follow me.
So, you're a newcomer. We must be desperate to ask untrained civilians for help.
You're lucky to have a well-trained civilian with a brand new auto pistol in his arsenal.
An automatic? A bit of a braggart, aren't you?
Are you trying to test me already?
That is why you're here, boy. I need to verify your skills before I can allow you to catch criminals. The first targets are in the next room. You know what to do with them. I'll join you in a while to see the results.
Concentrate, Sherry. You need to hit every target to show the sergeant how we do it.
Hooray!
Proceed to the next room. Meanwhile, I'll fill out the paperwork.
Come on, Sherry. It's just like in childhood. Steady, Sherry. Steady. And go. My favourite mannequins for attack. Let's strike them ninja style. Aim for where you might take advantage and don't forget the environment.
I could do this all day.
Please don't, Sherry. We don't have that much time. Let's move on. Our enemies might be stronger than us, but we rely on our wits. Shoot off their armour.
Hooray!
All right, let's move on, Sherry. If you stand here and use your snuff box on them, you can definitely overcome them, Sherry. It's all calculated. Look at that helmet of his. You won't be able to get the powder past it. Uh-oh, Sherry. Not a nice shot. You could have killed the fella. If he was
Helpful
alive.
advice, John. I would never have guessed.
Good job, new boy. Well, I'm almost finished with the paperwork. Let's talk about your results. Well, I must say your results aren't as bad as I feared. Perhaps you're not completely hopeless, but true combat is quite different from shooting stationary targets.
I'll handle it just as easily.
Well, that's what we're going to find out. Now, we'll test you against our men. Your task is to detain them, not to kill them. So don't go shooting anyone in the eye. That goes for in the field as well. Even though you'll be working with the police department, that doesn't mean you have a license to kill. Here, take these. They are blank rounds. So, are you ready?
Always ready.
Then let's get cracking.
Worried.
Not at all. I can hit them all with one shot.
Good luck, Sherry, and remember, the surroundings are your playground.
I'm coming.
No more crime for you until next month. Take a rest, my friend.
We can overcome the brute now.
I could miss the party. I'm coming. I couldn't miss the party.
Weaken him first.
I'm coming for you. Dodge this!
How do you do? No more crime for you until next month.
That's enough. You've proved yourself. Congratulations on the arrests. I can't believe you did so well with the close combat.
I did tell you that I'm well trained.
Well, do the same on the street, and you'll be well rewarded for every arrest you make. Here is your certificate. You are now an authorized crime scene consultant. Well, it's now your duty to make this city a safer place. Cordona won't ever forget it, but at the same time, it will never remember. I'll tell Stark all the necessary details about your successful certification. Congratulations.
Now you're a certified crime scene consultant. Congratulations.
Thank you, my friend. Now, shall we head for Stonewood Manor?
Don't know. You have the whole island to investigate. It's all up to you.
This area's restricted.
Hello. Şimdi çok daha iyi hissediyorum.
Hey, Sherry, there's post here, and it seems as if the letter was delivered recently.
After reading that, I am even less eager to return home than before. Let's investigate our manor.
That's the Mycroft I know. Predictable.
There she is. Our old manor. It's smaller than I remember.
You were a couple of feet shorter back then, Sherry. Or maybe it's bigger on the inside.
Look at the ash all over the door. I don't recall hearing of a fire.
We don't have to stay here. You can afford another night or two at the hotel.
It's stuck.
Oh well, let's just head back. They probably haven't even stripped our room yet.
Come on. Must be locked.
Move aside. Let me have a go. Seems fine to me, Sherry. This barrier, perhaps it's mental, not physical.
Or perhaps the rest of us are simply constrained by reality, John. I wonder if there's a key secreted somewhere in the garden.
Take a look around, Sherlock. I'm sure you'll discover something.
I did not expect these to still be here. It was enjoyable to practice using real handcuffs to make an arrest.
Hey, that's Wooden Joe. He was always the best at playing criminals.
And this must be the reason our suspect was apprehended. Wood and glass, oh, very precious. An irreplaceable tool for catching a thief. Funny. Wooden Joe reminds me of the trouble we once got in with the police. Do you remember, John?
Somewhat. Maybe we can recall more details.
The policeman brought us both home, John. That's why he was here.
I'm pretty sure he brought something else with him too. Do you remember what it was? I bet it was our reward.
No, we were not so lucky. It was a set of lockpicks that we had used to sneak into someone's house. That's why we were arrested.
Did someone come out to investigate all the commotion?
It was Mycroft. He smoothed things over and convinced the policeman not to press charges. The officer left and never returned. But we had to endure a serious talking to from my brother. Mycroft wasn't happy about the fact that we were arrested. It felt like he lectured us for hours.
Did we give him something afterwards, Sherry?
Oh, yes. Yes, now I remember. It was a letter. That's why we snuck into the house. Mycroft asked us to. He wasn't angry we stole, but that we got caught.
Oh, that's right. It must have been only a couple of months after we moved to Cordona. Ugh, the good old days. Whoa.
How very odd. It appears that memory stood between me and the manor. It's as if my mind palace had seeped into the real world. This deserves further investigation. Perhaps there's more to discover inside.
As long as there is a comfortable place to put my feet up, I'll be happy. Maybe a chaise longue.
Aha! In we go.
Home sweet home, Sherry.
Hey, this is the luggage we brought from London, isn't it?
And I was wondering why it's so empty in here.
There may be a small chance that some of our property could be found among local traders' wares. It is worth a look, wouldn't you say? Another one. There must be something important behind it. I can feel it. Another one. There must be something important behind it. I can feel it. Another one. There must be something important behind it. I can feel it. Another one. There must be something important behind it. I can feel it. I think our family portrait used to hang here. Another one. There must be something important behind it. I can feel it. One of the first things I saw when entering this house as a child. It's like déjà vu.
Home sweet home, Sherry.
Mycroft's umbrella, the only outgoing thing in his wardrobe.
Another memory incoming, Sherry.
Strange, I struggle to recall anything about the day we moved in. The only detail I'm sure of is that it was raining early that morning. Our mother brought a slew of belongings with her. She refused to leave a single thing in London. Mycroft had to spend the whole day dealing with it. This trip was a challenge for our mother. I tried to help her. There was always a hat on our stand, but I'm sure it did not belong to Mycroft.
Do you feel it? Is it the air shimmering, or is it my imagination?
Your neighbors will be told that Mrs. Holmes is suffering from tuberculosis. It is common to move closer to the sea in such cases.
Thank you, Dr. Richter. No, Sherlock, step away from her. Upstairs, go to your room.
Lean on me, Mother. Take your time.
Actually, I never heard her coughing. I remember now.
Oh, I feel dizzy. It's stuffy in here, isn't it?
John, are you all right?
I'll be okay in a minute. How about we find our room in the meantime?
I remember how angry Mycroft was about these marks. He called it a frivolous, childish endeavor. Look at this. It's like traveling 10 years into the past with a single step. Oddly satisfying.
Oh, it reminds me of our neighbour. He had the same balloon in his yard, only bigger. Do you remember?
Yes. We visited him several times while living here. Need to repeat this one day, but with bullets. Oh, these must be the notes of my earliest observations. We wanted to locate a particular dog we'd spotted, and we met it, didn't we? I'll never forget how challenging it was to obtain this simple sketch.
Coal dust from Miner's End, sandy dirt from the old city. We scoured the island top to bottom for these soil samples.
The first chemical laboratory I ever made. I almost miss its elegant simplicity. Look at this, John. Remember how desperately I wanted to learn the violin? I never had a proper opportunity.
Such a shame. I always hated the rule about being silent in this place.
The only fiction book on my table. I can still hear my mother reading it to me. So many pleasant evenings were spent here with the Encyclopedia Americana. Interesting. What's that over there? This doorknob has a cross-shaped end. Too intricate to be merely a handle.
You know what? That definitely looks like a key. Let's poke around and see if we can find any secrets.
A magnificent tool made for a spurious purpose, staring into the sky. I've definitely found a better use for it.
You mean for spying on people?
Cannot believe all my toys are still here.
Hey, they were not just yours, they were half mine too.
An artifact from Palau carved out of bone and claimed to be 300 years old. My mother proved it was a fake. My very favorite plaything. It was the perfect pirate treasure.
Wasn't that neighbour missing a finger?
That does sound vaguely familiar. Wasn't his name, Theodore? Theodore Gilded, perhaps?
It's the perfect time to investigate. Nah, doesn't fit here.
Perfect match. Still has a faint odour of tobacco, one of the few things on this island that smell like home. Made of cherry wood, Father's favourite. My small archive of crime clippings. Maybe I should pick up this habit again.
I knew you'd find it in no time.
That wretch Goliath would murder us all. Mark my words.
What's happened? What? Oh, who is it?
It's as if a storm went through here.
Oof, a contortionist you were not. Disjointed vertebrae. Difficult to say if it was a way to start or finish him off. A belt from a dressing gown. Curious. A kneecap reduced to splinters. A missing pinky, middle-aged. It's none other than Theodore Gilded.
Oh boy, Sherlock. Another death means another question.
And we shall answer the question. It's far too interesting to give it up to the police.
poke the elephant with this? Really? People are hopeless.
A strong pull broke this leash. A pool of blood and saliva, possibly as a result of impact.
Sherlock, take a picture of the footprint. It's valuable evidence. This photograph can help us find the old article about the elephants. The front page was fascinating. It was hard to believe as a child.
True. We may need it in our investigation. A royal suite for a favourite pet.
Plenty of food to satisfy even the most fastidious.
Destruction and trampled ground. Destruction and trampled ground.
Stop the presses. Who is Cordona's handsome stranger? Or nosebagger spurns local life? Wait, no. Foppish foreigner hides dark past. Oh, you've made quite the impression already, Mr. Holmes. You care to tell your side of the story?
I'm quite certain I have no idea as to what you refer, and I am further certain I have no interest in indulging your gossip.
Gossip? The truth will come out, but will only be heard if told well. Scandal, daring-do, romance. These are the tools of every good journalist. Nothing travels faster or lasts longer than a great story. Young man, your tale will be told with or without you. My readers demand it.
You already knew my name and seem aware of my doings here in Cordona. I presume this newspaper is your little endeavor?
Yasmin Sertel, editor-in-chief of the Codurna Chronicle, advocate of the free press, voice of the people, scourge of the silk stocking.
Charmed, I'm sure. As an advocate of the free press, I trust you'll permit me to consult your archives? There are gaps in my knowledge of Cordona.
Oh, so my work does have merit. Well, I think we can strike a bargain. I shall provide you access, and you let me keep writing about your exploits.
So be it.
Brooding bachelor builds bridges. Now that's character development.
I guess I owe you my gratitude.
What can I say? I've always enjoyed working with the Holmes. They whisper such interesting things.
That's the article. Feeling old already?
I'm watching you closely, Mr. Holmes.
Who's it?
May I ask you something?
I can't help you with that, sir.
Help me, please.
Excuse me? What? I'm not sure I know.
Oh, I am bored. Call me when you find the answer.
Help me, please.
I can't help you with that, sir.
Are you able to help me?
Oh, sir, I'm afraid I don't know about that.
This isn't working. You might need a different tack.
Please. Who's it?
Can you satisfy my curiosity?
Excuse me? What? I'm not sure I know.
A coal gas tank. Enough to pump up an airship. A sailor's knife useful for cutting wet and thick ropes. A sailor... Fresh signs of impact. A rough landing led to an altercation with this shed. A sailor's knife used... It's seen a lot of use. The blade is worn from grinding. In a fit of rage, the elephant broke the chain and threw its victim on the ground with a fierce power. Escaping the scene, it pulled the body with it, but dropped it at the gate. At least some of this was witnessed by a third party who was hurled against the shed. The elephant can't have gone too far. I can still track it.
Well, suppose you find it. Then what? Push it all the way back to the manor?
May I ask for your assistance?
I can't help you with that, sir.
Can I ask you a question?
That's a question I can answer.
Look who's here. The elephant barged into this cart of olive oil.
What if we're lucky and he slipped and fell somewhere along the way?
Could you help me?
Mr. Fancy Clothes won't find any answers here.
Strange. It was hung with care. The game has escaped us, for now. We'll find a solution to the elephant problem later.
Want to go for a swim?
Hog heaven. Hog heaven. A coal gas tank, enough to pump up an airship. Hog heaven.
Oh, why do I get the worst jobs?
This young lady has a childish interest for her age.
Gosh, what a mansion.
You. Who are you?
My name is Sherlock Holmes. Theodore Gilded was...
Did you kill him? Did you kill the elephant?
It's not in the yard anymore. It escaped into the forest.
You can't let it go. What if it returns?
I highly doubt that, Miss...
Imogen Gilded. Please, I beg of you, find that dreadful beast that killed my father.
I suppose we do need to learn what happened. Can you tell me what happened? From the very start.
I was here, so I didn't see how it began. My father visits the enclosure every morning to wake up Goliath. Today, I heard the elephant scream. I've never heard such a horrifying sound. My heart stopped. I knew something was wrong. I looked through my window and saw how it lifted my father up by his neck. I rushed downstairs. I saw it dragging my father as if he were a doll. I threw stones at it. It dropped my father's body and charged outside, screaming. Its roar was almost human. I was frightened, so I ran inside and hid here.
That is a terrifying experience, Miss Gilded. I'm sorry you had to go through it.
Thank you. Goliath must be caught, Mr. Holmes.
Well, thank you for the information, Miss Gilded. I did have some questions for your father. Perhaps you might help me with them?
I wasn't privy to much of my father's life, and it's very hard to think of anything at all with Goliath still loose. Please, Mr. Holmes.
Very well. Do you mind if I ask you more questions if I find anything that might help?
Anything to catch that monster.
Did you observe anyone else in the yard? Any of your servants, perhaps?
Servants? Do you imagine that we would have any with Goliath? No one wishes to work in this house, even for double pay. I didn't see anyone else. Only my father and that diabolical beast.
Had Goliath been aggressive before?
It's dangerous, but it was never aggressive near my father. My father would do anything for Goliath. All the elephant had to do was clap its ears.
You envied him, the elephant, I mean?
Our house is called the House of Ivory. I've heard some people refer to me as the Ivory Girl, and my room stinks of the animal, as if it's me who lives in a pen and not Goliath. It's not envy, Mr. Holmes. It's just incredibly difficult to live like this.
Miss Gilded, I was on this island 10 years ago, and your father knew my mother. I believe I even had the opportunity to ride that balloon outside, but I do not recall seeing you.
I lived at my late mother's in Sheffield at the time. I'm in no spirit to reminisce right now. The elephant is out there.
You've never heard the name Violet Holmes before? Perhaps your father...
Please, Mr. Holmes. With that beast roaming free, I can't think of anything.
Very well. She packed as much as she could carry. False idols? Oh, sounds utterly dreary. The same dull poses on all romantic photographs. So idyllic. Enjoy your happily ever after before it stales.
Hey, Sherry, we need to talk. You found false idols. We need to find the remaining two.
What does bazooka even mean? Would this paper be good for anything but blowing one's nose on?
They're not rubbish, Sherry. There's something more. I'm serious.
Very well. I doubt it'll be worth it, but I will find them for you, John.
You'll thank me later. They're some of the most imaginative books I've ever read.
What did you say?
Speaking aloud helps me think. A commendable effort to barricade the windows. Nicest spot in the room. Mr. Gilded spent hours of his life right here.
Staring at an elephant's backside. What a wonderful life.
I think Miss Gilded has barely matured. I think they were closer than you and me, John.
I'm hurt.
A relatively functional choice to replace the finger. Oh, the pungent stench of an animal.
Did Theodore seek some pink elephants with this?
His second child? An apparent son and heir, I'd say. A catchy title. What's so special about this place? Another elephant? A partnership annulled with a single stroke of a pen. I should take a photograph of the plans. I don't want to carry them around. Mother. It's nice to see her young and smiling. From before Mycroft was born, our family loves to prod at the past.
Holmes's desire to rake up the past is hereditary.
Quite the spectrum, from the history of the Roman Empire to conspiracy theories of the French Revolution. I have to leave you for now. And, which part of the elephant is in here? It's quite pungent.
Oh, that. It's elephant sweat. Father believed that it might replace traditional ambergris.
Well, that's true entrepreneur spirit. I found this. Who's this young lad next to you, your faithful knight?
Paul. He's my pirate. He's not really a pirate. I just call him that. It probably sounds very silly.
Your secret is safe in my hands. Does Paul work somewhere? What is his surname?
His name is Paul Perks. He and his yacht Whirlpool are the champions of the Salacia Yacht Club. He sails there. I'll show you where it is on the map if you need to meet him.
A yachting champion? Well, that will be a first. I prefer dry land. And so does my suit. These bags of yours, it looks as if you've packed your entire room. Were you planning on going somewhere?
My partner and I, we wanted a change, a fresh start abroad. But now I have to stay here. Here, an orphan.
A. Swift, is this name familiar to you? Your father had it removed from this plan.
Oh, that's Arthur Swift. I've seen him a couple of times here. He works with my father in the old city, digging up something ancient.
He is an archaeologist?
That's the word, yes. But to be truthful, I really don't think Mr. Swift is fit to be one. I've just learnt a lot about archaeology from my favourite book series. Oh, they are page-turners.
Inspirational, I'm sure, but would you happen to know where this Mr. Swift might be found?
I don't, but perhaps you can find out somewhere. My father's work with him is all official. Lots of boring legal papers with signatures and stuff. I don't have any thoughts on this.
How can you read something like this? It's hard to swallow, and that's not due to the hard cover.
You're hardly serious. Any library without Nabe and Laura is incomplete. If you can read, then these books are an absolute must. Love and adventure. They're about life.
Oh, I wasn't aware that exploding pyramids were a part of daily life on Cordona.
You haven't seen life, so you might try reading about it at least.
Come, take a look at our clothes and accessories. The finest clothes for the finest citizens. Of course, think it over. Take your time.
Masterpieces by local artists at an affordable... My goods will brighten up your house. Enjoy your purchase. Garden statues, swings, and even more. My goods will brighten up your house. You always know where to find me.
May I ask you something?
That's a question I can answer.
Sales of hatred. I suppose there is something for everyone, including champions.
Who knew archaeology could be so exciting?
Exciting is certainly a word. A foghorn to navigate and warn others at sea.
It should have a warning to cover your ears.
The Champion's Whirlpool. Pool's bread and butter. Bloodied bandages. Has someone been hurt?
Where would a champion hide a key?
I hope Paul is more skilled at yachting than he is at hiding keys. Bloodied bandages. To earn big, you have to spend big. Mr. Gilded wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty. Additional earnings to sweeten the victory. An interesting place for a message to a champion. Old betting slips. Paul always bets on Whirlpool. One victory after another. An expensive set of tools for woodwork. An amateur wouldn't know how to use these. Shipbuilding, shipwright's tricks, sail weaving. A box full of darts. Each has a needle and can be loaded with drugs. Help me, please.
I can't help you with that, sir.
Do you know anything about this?
I can't help you with that, sir.
bloodied bandages.
We can become pirates and show them what should be stored in here. Too ordinary a room for a champion. There's no incentive to put in any effort.
Is this familiar to you?
Excuse me, what? I'm not sure I know.
too ordinary a room for a champion. There's no incentive to put in any effort.
Undeniably psychotropes. Not for toothache, I think. A typical tea tin. I wonder what he has for biscuits.
Oi! Hands off my possessions before you lose your fingers. Are you illiterate? The rules are written everywhere.
Ah, Mr. Perks, the cabin boy himself.
Champion, you mean? I was right. You are illiterate. I think a couple of shiners might teach you. One last chance. Who are you?
I'm Sherlock Holmes, a friend of our mutual acquaintance, Miss Imogen.
Look, you artichoke. Imogen has no friends. Except for me.
If you must try to insult people, it's better to know the meanings of the words that you're using.
You fancy you could teach a sailor to swear? Go ahead. Show me how inventive you are.
Stand still for a moment. So, a woman wishes to become a real criminal, and smuggling is a stepping stone towards that? Is there not enough prestige in yachting? Or is it easier to compete with other fools like yourself? Everyone has a starting pistol, just shoot and run.
Don't say a word. I don't know where you're getting half of this nonsense, but you're on some thin ice here that I'm willing to crack.
Damn you, Paul. I'm sick of... Who's this peacock? Does he know who I am?
I definitely know who you are not. You're not a dictionary reader, at least. I wanted to see how you... pals interact with each other in your natural habitat. But I'm afraid I have to interfere.